show. Victory's close, but the foe's gonna dance. A pixelated duo, it's our chance. Friendly fire, we're laughing so loud. Button smash while we're lost in the crowd. Reload and respawn, it's part of the game. Friendly fire, but we're one and the same.
Welcome back, Friendlies, to another retro review. Keeping with the trend on my channel, I've decided to review two of the Castlevania games I never got around to finishing when they came out. Castlevania Lords of Shadow 1 and 2. I remember renting or at least trying these games when they came out, but never got around to playing through them. Now, I know the Lords of Shadow games were kind of hit and miss with Castlevania fans. These games strayed away from the traditional formula for a more cinematic God of War style game to bring in a new audience, but I'm not one of those fans that hate when developers try new things with a franchise. So without further ado, let's jump into it. I will start with easily the harder of the two games, Lords of Shadow 1. You start the game playing as Gabriel Belmont, who's on a mission to free his wife's soul. The story was fun and not as convoluted as the second game, with a bunch of twists as Gabriel tries to piece together who killed his wife and if he can bring his wife back from the dead. Out of the two games, Lords of Shadow 1 is more linear. The levels are divided into chapters and you can replay them when you want to. I also feel this game's story takes itself a little less serious compared to the second game, with some corny cutscenes. Also, compared to the second game, this game focuses more on giant enemy encounters, puzzles, and monster riding. There's several points in the game where you will need to wrangle you a creature to ride on in order to proceed further through the levels. All of this was a fun and cool idea. I did feel the fatigue of this feature after a while. Some levels don't exactly tell you where you have to go, so there were several points where I had to keep backtracking to get the same monster to ride over and over until I found the path I was supposed to take. I mentioned that the game has a bigger focus on the massive mountain-sized bosses that you'll spend most of the time climbing them and finding weak spots to take them down. The first couple were cool, but sometimes they become tedious and just not fun to do, especially if you get all the way to the end and miss a cutscene button press and have to do it all again. I prefer the boss fights where you just fight them regularly instead of something that feels a little more like a climbing minigame. One of the things that did work for the game though was the God of War style combat system. The combat in both these games is fun, frantic, and sometimes unforgiving if you can't dodge like you should. The game uses light strike and hard strikes like these kinds of games do, but also has powers you can unlock in ruins. You get light and dark power. The light power when activated heals you when you strike enemies, and the dark power does extra like fire damage. I could say the light power will come in handy because unlike the second game, this game doesn't have many healing statues, so you'll need to use it to heal as much as possible. You do get ruins that you can use, like throwing daggers, fairies. You even get a crystal that calls forth a big titty monster to do big damage on an enemy. I found the daggers were more useful because you will find them everywhere throughout the levels. You also have an ability tree that you can use to upgrade your attacks and get new moves / power abilities. The power abilities are cool. You can do some crazy moves. But I mostly worked on upgrading my regular attacks in this game because those are more effective and you're going to be using them way more than wasting your magic gauge on doing one or two moves. Both these games also have climbing mechanics where you climb walls or you use your whip to swing to other areas. I didn't really have any complaints with it. I found it satisfying and it gives you a sense of exploration. This game also has way more puzzles and quick time events. The puzzles, some were interesting and made you think, and then some of the other ones you just kind of threw shit at a wall and hoped it worked. The quick time button events, however, got annoying sometimes because you'll think you beat someone or something, and during a cutscene, boom, a button pops up, you're not ready, and get insta killed. Happened to me a couple times, but hey, it's whatever. Compared to the second game, I do feel this one was harder. The enemies seem to do more damage, and your resources are way more scarce. Also, the true villain of this game was the fixed camera angles. There are several instances where I would be in combat and the camera would keep changing, causing me to either not see the enemy or would keep causing me to change the direction I was supposed to be moving. Also, there were moments in levels where I would miss where I needed to climb or miss something because of how the camera angle changes. It wasn't a deal breaker, but definitely needed more work. Now, that second game in the series decided to drop that fixed camera angle and was much better for it. You start the game as Dracula in his castle being attacked by knights. Some shit goes down and Dracula wakes up 1,000 years later in modern times. He doesn't remember what happened and he has lost his powers that, of course, you'll regain throughout the game. I enjoyed the modern day setting. It's a fresh take on the games and was fun traversing through the city. I just wish there were civilians or something, but mostly the city was taken over by monsters and some guys in mech suits. Compared to the first game, the story in this one felt more akin to like Devil May Cry than anything. You meet characters with crazy abilities on your mission to stop Satan from coming back. Don't worry though, you still have parts of the game where you go back to Dracula's castle. Gabriel has these dreams or illusions where he's back in this castle where he sees his son and his wife. These illusions are where he gets his powers back and his son helps him remember what happened to him.
Father. Don't let the Acolyte escape.
This game went for a more open world where you would gain access to other parts of the map as you regain your powers. It also has a fast travel room, but to be honest, I don't think I used it, not even once. Traversing through the map was fun and fast to get where you needed to go, especially with the new powers you get in the game. I mentioned that this game felt easier than the first game, and I feel it's because of the runes you get in the game. In the first game, the only way to heal was to use your light power or the few scattered healing statues. But in Lords of Shadows 2, you get health potions you can use anytime you want on top of the first two options. You can also heal yourself by drinking enemies' blood as a finishing move. Plus, you gain the ability to turn into a cloud of red mist, which you can use to traverse through the levels, and you can also use it to avoid being hit. Top those with abilities like blood daggers, power buff potions, and the ability to slow time down, and it makes for fun gameplay mechanics. Traveling through the map using your abilities like the red mist, bats, or turning into rats to get through vents was cool. It makes you feel like you have the full capabilities of a vampire. Speaking of rats, there are times in the game where you have to sneak through areas either by avoiding enemies or turning into rats to go through vents. Some of these instances were cool, but there were a few stealth moments that became very annoying. You can also sneak up and take control of an enemy to get through a door or something, but I feel this feature wasn't fleshed out much, and you don't use it but maybe a couple times. I mentioned that you do get to go back to the castle in the City of the Damned. There's points on the map where you can use a wolf medallion to transfer yourself back to Dracula's castle. There's times where you have to do it to progress the story, but you can also do it when you want to explore the map as well. Plus, that's where you can go to the shop to buy more potions and stuff.
Welcome to my humble shop, sir.
I will say I prefer the enemies in the first game more. The first game you mostly fight goblins, werewolves, giant trolls, spiders. There's pretty cool bosses in it, and you also get to fight vampires. But in the second game, you're mostly fighting mechs. These creatures from hell, these little shotgun wielding goblins. I feel the second game has way less variety as far as enemies and boss battles. And like I said, the story in the second game felt more like a crazy Kojima game. I prefer the first game's story more, but I enjoyed the combat and the exploration more in the second game.
In the end, we will be as one! Of your soul strengthens me.
Final verdict though, these two games are fun spin-offs of the Castlevania franchise as a whole. Even if you aren't a Castlevania fan, I feel like these are fun vampire games that you should check out, especially if you're into the old God of War style games. 2 games, 2 thumbs up from me. As always, thank you guys for watching. Like, subscribe, all that jazz. I'll catch you guys on the next video.
Father, I come for you. Before the end, you will bow down to me!